Hey, hope you're having a really good day. I want to talk to you about something that's really going to be beneficial to you, and it's really going to be able to help you if you can learn to do this right here. Mind your own business. That's it. Mind your own business. Now, let's jump straight into the word, and I want to talk to you about this. This is in First Thessalonians 4 and 11. It says, aspire to lead a calm and peaceful life as you mind your own business. Did you know the Bible actually says to mind your own business? Okay, so First Thessalonians 4:11 it says, aspire to live a calm and peaceful life as you mind your own business and earn your own living, just as we have taught you. Then it says, by doing this, you will live an honorable life, influencing others. And so, what I want to tell you is to mind your own business. What is the business that God has given you? What has God called you to do? You may be a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids. That is your business. You may be a business owner. You may be an entrepreneur. Mind your own business. I remember Big Nanny one time. We were coming out of a store when I was little, and I was holding her hand like a good little grandson. And there was this lady over there just running her head, and my grandmom, she had no filter. And she said, you know what? You need to get you some business and get out of everybody else's. And my Big Nanny would always tell me, she would say, Jojo, when you get older, get you some business so you won't be prying into other people's business. And when you are doing what you are called to do with full capacity with God, you're not going to have time to get in anybody else's business because you are going to be so busy about your business. You know, my wife and I, we love life to the fullest. We have ministries and businesses, and we do vacations, and we really pour our lives into our 3 children and into one another and the people around us that we love, our spiritual sons and daughters, our church, our network. We are always pouring out our lives to other people. And so, I do social media. I get on there a little bit and look, but I don't look at a lot of other people. I don't, get involved in what a lot of other people that I really don't have a direct relationship with. Why? Because I don't have any time to get in other people's business because I got so much business myself. I remember about a few months ago, this guy, I'm a decent friend with an acquaintance, called me and said, hey, man, did you see what old so-and-so's doing? I'm like, no, man, what's he up to? He says, do you not get on Facebook? I'm like, not a whole lot because I'm too busy doing what God has called me to. And if I'm not busy doing that, my wife and I are having a coffee date or I'm going on a mini vacay with the kids, or I'm going to a school function, or meeting with some folks in our church. I know what I'm called to do, and that's what I'm doing. I'm giving my life to what the Lord has called me to. So I don't have time to get into other people's business. A lot of times I'll be with somebody, and a bunch of us will be hanging out or something, eating, and somebody be scrolling through Instagram and say, oh, do you see what this church is doing? I'm like, no, tell me about it. I'm interested in see what other people are doing. But I don't look into that because I've got my own business. I tell my kids all the time, I say, don't get in drama at school. And my kids come home from school and they say, Dad, a lot of people, they don't have their mindset past junior high or high school, but because they don't see bigger than that. And they're in everybody else's business. Listen, people that do not have any business will get in everybody else's. I remember years ago, my wife invited this young girl from a ministry we had over to the house, and she said, I'm going to invest an hour into you. And when the girl left, I had just got home right as the girl was leaving, and I walked in. I asked my wife, said, hey, how was it? She just kind of shook her head. And I said, oh, she ain't got no business. My wife said, none. First thing is she sat down and she started talking about this girl and then this girl and then this person. And she said, I kept redirecting her like, hey, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you. And the girl was so consumed with everybody else that she had nothing. She had nothing to say. So all of a sudden she would just talk about everybody else. And then a few months later, she came to us and said, I don't have a way to focus. I'm not focused in life. And my wife says, because you're worried about everybody else. Whenever I made a lot of young men for coffee early in the morning, I made them at 5:30, 6 in the morning. And I sat down and said, hey, how's it going? They're like, good. I said, good. What's up? Oh man, my dad just bought a new bike. I said, I ain't meeting with your dad. I did not get up at 4:30, 5 in the morning to talk about your dad. I'm talking about you. How can I help you move forward? Get you some business. If you get you some business, we can do something. You know, whenever I'm discipling people, the Royal Apostolic Network, and they are, when I call them, if we had the same conversation today that we did 2 weeks ago, I'm like, hey, hang on, before we talk again, you better be doing something. I'm not spending my time. I'm only allotted so many hours during the day to work on things. You know, I don't want you to tell me the same thing twice. I need to know about what you're doing. Now let's get back into the word. Galatians 6, 4, and 5. Let everyone be devoted to fulfill the work God has given them to do with excellence, and their joy will be in doing what is right and being themselves and not being affirmed by others. Do you hear what that just said? The Bible said that you need to be yourself. You don't need to be anybody else. You don't need affirmation from other people. You need to be yourself, be confident in who you are with God. When you know who you are in God and with God, you will do everything that you're called to do. So the word says that you need to be devoted fully to what you're called to do. And then it says, and every believer is ultimately responsible for his or her own self. You are responsible for you. Okay, you got me? And the reason I entitled this, mind your own business, because people are in other people's business all the time. That is a direct sign that they don't have anything going on. Now, if somebody talks negative about somebody, I get nervous. But because if you are a child of destiny, if you are a child of the kingdom, full of purpose, I mean, that's all that you are talking about. I had lunch one day today with my good friend Pastor Isaac Petrie, right here in Texarkana, a powerful man of God. And we had an hour and a half lunch. And man, we were just going back and forth talking about what God's doing and what God's saying and what we're involved in and all of this stuff. And man, he's such a, him and his wife are just full of purpose and passion. I love talking to people like that. Yesterday, I had lunch with two pastors and in neighboring cities. We all come together and meet. And man, these are just two men who are writing books and full of passion. There was no idle conversation amongst us because we were all focused on doing what God's called us to do. Well, over the last 2 days, what was that? It was iron sharpens iron. It was people coming together talking about just what God's doing, what God's saying. So you need to be around people who have some business. Like I said, when people call me and they start talking about other things or other people, I'm like, guys, look, I don't have time for that. I've got too much going to hear gossip. I have no time for that. And so you need to be around people who are constantly moving forward. And if you're moving forward, the iron sharpens iron. What does that mean when iron sharpens iron? It means that you knock the rough places off one another. I was talking to my friend, Pastor Isaac Petrie, today, and two pastors yesterday. And all during the conversation, I was like, oh, that's good, man. That helped me right there. And they say, oh, Joe, that was good. That helped me right there. And so we sharpen one another and we help one another and share resources with one another. And so what you got to understand is when you learn to mind your own business, you will do what these two scriptures I read to you are about. It's about doing what God has called you to. Be diligent to seek the Lord and find out what your life is all about, and throw your life, sink your life completely into your call, to your region, to your gift, your trade, whatever God has called you to. Throw your life completely into that. But because there's too many people who are out there who aren't taking care of their self. They're worried about everybody else. They're wanting somebody to take care of you. You should never reach for a handout from people. You should be diligent enough to find out what the Lord is calling you into. And Earl Nightingale says this. He says that if you will devote 1 hour a day to your trade, 1 hour a day, in developing yourself, within 5 years, you will be a national expert in that field. So develop the gift that God has called you to. And I hope this video helped you. Hope it encouraged you. And I want to just help push you forward every day. That's why I do videos on Facebook and Periscope and YouTube. I'm always releasing some type of video on YouTube. This is why my wife and I are are always, offering prayer support for people, support to help people, regain their health, to move forward in the apostolic, to help people move forward in getting books published, and just any way I can help people, I just want to help them. So, anything you need to know about my wife and I, you can go to jojodawson.net. You can find it. And I want to thank everybody who sows into us monthly. I want to thank all of our partners. I appreciate you. And I hope these videos bless you. And remember, mind your own business. And like Big Nanny used to always say, get you some business and get out of everybody else's.